literally gonna die. This is the How to Become a Better Performer panel. So I see one of you already has a head start. Also, I love the badges, by the way, Mr. Eagles, or Eagle?
Red-tailed hawk.
Red-tailed hawk, so the one that actually makes the sound. Well,
Yes.
hello. Why are you, oh no, oh no. This is, wow. You just gonna knock everything over, aren't you, Strobes? All right, well, that's fair. Wow.
Should we turn on him? Really figure it out. Oh, it's
Figure it
already
out, yeah. You got it.
Nothing up there.
So, when becoming a mascot, don't be a cat, because they're very rascally critters. That is worth more than you, sir. Don't. Oh snap, am I supposed to freestyle now? So I mean, I think what we can do is maybe introduce ourselves, talk about our backgrounds, and then if you guys have questions, I have questions for these guys that they're going to answer, but if you guys have specific questions, you're more than welcome to raise your hand at any time, because it's all about you guys. So, let's start with the fox.
Hi, I'm AuraPuffs. I joined the community back in 2001. I started costuming in 2005, I think. So I've been around a while. I still don't know what I'm doing, and that's why I come to these panels.
Wait, but you're on the panel.
What? Am I?
Yes.
Oh.
The chair. The mic turned off. Why?
Because we don't have a sound stack.
There we go. Check. Boom. No, I got it. Thank you. Gosh, I'm talking. Wow. These are my friends. All right. My name is Edward Bosco. I'm a voice actor by trade, but today I get to talk about when I was a professional mascot. So, if you guys have seen Starcade that John Trump did, I was Darth Vader in that. I was Scooby Doo and a couple of box trolls down at Universal. And I've done like a couple of improv shows where I had to be in costumes like these guys. So I am not in the community, but I totally get what this is all about. And I thought, well, I might as well get some real furries up here who can actually talk about what it's like, because I think it's a little bit different. Dude, what? I can't read what that
Yes,
is.
it's like
Animal.
that. Yeah, there are
well,
little stickers going around here.
and of course, Strobes has like 9. Well, I mean,
Or is that a given?
I think that's a given. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I go by Yippee Coyote in the fandom. I've been in fandom for 26 years and fursuiting 24 or something. Unless you count the time I auditioned for my college mascot. 86.
Wow. I would. I remember '86. That's when
I
the
was
Bears
born
last
in
was Super Bowl.
86.
I was born in 86.
Don't make them feel old. Come on. Wow.
With old comes experience and stuff. But yeah, I've been around. I've been suiting since '94, and been doing panels occasionally here and there. I have performed also at the in the minor league mascot level, helping assist at the major league mascot level with the San Francisco Giants and been with the San Jose Sharks, and did a couple seasons with the San Jose Earthquakes, developing the character from the start. Yes, you can touch me. Just this once.
Wow. Are you calling somebody else smelly? You're this?
Smelly one.
Really? And for those of you who haven't guessed, this is Strobes. I found him on the street. He needed a home. I brought him in. Take care of him. Feed him. Yeah. And he's been in the community
But
since.
he cleans up nice.
So when did you get in from like outer space? It was a couple years ago? Like 10 years ago? Yeah, something like that. No? A couple years? So 5 years. Got it. Four.
He's got 4 fingers.
Oh, right, because you're not human.
Okay,
Sorry.
5.
Wow, there it is.
We call
Wow.
him the thing, yeah.
Got him. Your nose. You're smelly. I got it. Yep, for
5
sure.
years on the nose.
I also already can dance, but I don't know, that's okay. So, my first question to you guys is, when you guys are walking through the halls and you have an opportunity to see a performer out there doing something, what's the first thing that catches your attention?
I'll start with the box.
Oh, start with me?
Yeah.
Oh, I say hi.
You say it.
What makes you say hi? Like, what makes you approach them? Like, what makes you like stand out in the crowd when there's so many people out there doing what you're doing?
I don't know. I don't
Do you want me to tag in?
Yes, I taught her well. I already gave her my experience, so I'm a little weak.
Oh my gosh,
So
Jimmy,
she
Jimmy,
can
you
cover
do
for
it.
me now.
What makes somebody stand out to you when you're walking around?
I like like to see the amount of energy, the amount of interaction, how they're playing to their crowd. Because no fursuit exists within a vacuum, within a space. There are people watching. Maybe they're just doing their own thing, and people just happen to be catching them walk a certain way, carry themselves a certain way, and make the costume complete in that it is character as well as just an artistic creation. Like this sassy fella here.
Yeah,
He
he's
certainly carries
the
himself.
epitome of sass. My goodness. Really? Did you get your beauty sleep?
Is that your final answer? Well, he is our handsome mime example here.
He's just here to make fun of us, let's be real.
Let's be honest, normally I would talk in suit, but I have no fucking voice right now.
I think you're like half this place, so you're good
Looks like
company.
you're going through my airspace. You're right.
Absolutely. So talk to me about like your specific characters, like in particular. So for Aura, what makes him stand out? How do you describe him?
I'm just a very unique character. I'm a friendly fox. I know it's very unheard of in this community. I just walk. I don't have much going for me. I just like people. I see people. This Yippee fella. Hello.
I guess they found that
Oh, wow, they did. Yeah, you did.
Some people claim that I don't perform.
There's a mic right. No, well you can take it back. It's Strobes, so make
You
yours.
can't talk.
You really can't. And they're just gonna. Oh my. What in the world?
All right, you broke the
You broke
the glass.
Oh
no!
I told you broke it. You have to fix it.
You stepped on it. You stepped on it. You're not good at this, are you? It's right in front of you. What? No, what?
You break that, you're gonna owe me $17.
Worth it.
A whole $17 difference.
I can't even count that high.
Well, sorry, you were saying. Wait.
Or did they help you?
There we go. Oh, this one works. There we go. All right, Jimmy. So for Yippee, tell me a little bit about Yippee. What is Yippee like as a character?
Yippie's kind of was started as my own personal mascot. I've wanted to do mascot work for the longest time since I was a kid. I was into cartoons and then just it's cartoon addiction and all that. But Yippee became my personal cartoon mascot that I would express through his more outgoing nature. I'm by nature personally rather shy, and fursuiting certainly helped me with that. But with Yippee, he's just this bouncy cartoon coyote extension of myself. I can answer about other characters of mine.
Yeah, please. First of all, how many do you have, like in total?
I have 16 fursuits now.
Wow.
Some get out more than others. Like actually didn't bring Yippee this time. Because I brought Baron, who's a German Shepherd pilot. I was trying to figure out how to make a German Shepherd character, how to make him stand out, and I just hit upon the idea of tying it in with the Red Baron, who's a German pilot, World War I, and so he became an aviator chef with the goggles and the scarf, and carries himself with a lot of civility, and he's a gentleman, but at heart he's a big dog. So, he can be. Carry himself with a lot of air of dignity, but you get a good little rub in, and he'll be laughed on.
And what about you, Fox, other Fox? Who are you, and why are you here?
Hi, I'm Atimist for those who don't know me, and I'm here because you made me be here.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So,
I know. We'll deal with it. Yeah, that was your fault.
yeah.
I had a question for you. Last MFF was actually your first time ever getting to perform. So I kind of wanted to ask you, what was that like being out there for like the very first time? How did it feel? What was it like? What didn't you like?
Well, so it was actually kind of scary because, I didn't know how to do it really. I didn't know what I wanted Atimist to be. So I kind of just, for the first day, I was like, oh my God, I'm excited. I got my new suit. I became really, really bouncy and just kind of energetic. And I guess that kind of just transitioned into where he's at now because it hasn't stopped every time. Every time that I get in the suit, that's what I or he becomes. So in a way that kind of, you know, made him who he was. But yeah, so I got the suit a year ago, and literally a year ago, I had birthday Oreos for celebration.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's great. But yeah, no, he's just a really stupid, derpy fox that just runs around and bounces everywhere.
And it's like 2 feet tall.
And is, no, shorter.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yes,
Exactly. That's fine.
On a good day.
Now you want to know why I was late? It's really far over.
I was gonna say, you should have jumped in. Like,
I tried.
Where's the goat?
Yeah.
The goat. There he is. He should have been in his pocket.
Well, riding on his head, he's got 2 handlebars.
Yeah. Are you hot, Strobes? Are you doing okay over there? I'm sorry about him, folks. He's like this in the morning. Oh no, he's like this all day. All right. So you guys have any questions for the panel about stuff, maybe characters you're working on, stuff you want to work out? All right, I have another question. For you specifically, talk about how your character walks, because one of the things I noticed is Scooby the box troll and his Darth Vader, every character has a different walk, and it kind of helps define what they're all about, because it's kind of your mojo as you're walking around. Do you have any specific things you do when you're moving around that kind of like give off a certain flair or style?
I like to take big steps.
Truck for thing. Come on.
Yeah.
Do it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, snap. And are you always with the hands behind your back? Is that always the thing?
I gotta play them, I put them behind my back, I wave people when they walk by, because it always passes people. You don't want to just pass people and just wave the clothes over, it's like,
Oh, wow, that was cold.
so it's always good to be bouncing, because for me, you never know who's nearby you. Like,
Yes.
you know, how do you put it? You never know who's watching. Because for
Exactly.
me, when it comes to like suitors, like I know you're tired, I know you're exhausted, but there's a lot of suitors.
I was thinking,
Yeah, that's definitely right.
Yeah.
That's the right. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Excuse you. I'm not that big.
Wow. Oh, well, he's going to take your seat. This is another fun thing, is when you guys just get the opportunity to interact with other performers. I was gonna, yep, and then we have this.
Yes, actually, yes, playing off performers is probably the most fun, because they bring kind of a different element into it. I'm pretty sure, if you have done it, you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, and you go out as a group, or even just, as a couple like that, it's really fun to just see what they do and react to what they do. Because it also takes you slightly out of what you may normally do, and you have to kind of, play along with.
What about you, Jimmy? Does he have a very specific walk, or Baron, or any of your guys like that?
Yeah, it's how you kind of sell the character. And if you occupy a certain headspace, the walk will reinforce that headspace of the character. You will have a bouncy walk. Baron will have a sort of proud strut to him. Twilight, my bunny, will have a sort of flirty sachet. And I've got some female characters have a ladylike walk with different aspects of that as well.
Do they have high heels for their feet?
No, I cannot offer that.
I don't think most girls can either. What is that?
Yes,
I think he needs that.
Another one?
Oh dear. Wow.
Noise-making accessories.
I was actually just going to ask about that. Do any of you guys have props that you use? Like, do you have a mallet, or do you have a tail that squeaks, I guess?
No props really. I have an extendo mallet, which I do not have with me.
You have an extent, like you can kick it out and it's a giant
No,
mallet.
no, no. It's a long, it's very long, very real looking mallet. And it can this big. And you can put it right here under your arms. You can move it around, it looks great. It's like you pull out a mallet. Whoop! And it's this long and huge. And it's fantastic, and I love it. Wow. And I should have brought it.
Yeah, you should.
I would have been smart.
But it's early.
Yeah, what about you guys? Do you guys use any props or anything like
I
that?
don't, sadly. I'd like to use a prop, but to me, props kind of seem, I don't know, they seem a little bit cumbersome at
Yeah.
times. So I feel like I end up passing off a prop
to go hug someone or to go interact with someone and then grabbing it back. So I don't use it. If it's available and somebody else has it, I will, but for me, myself, I don't use it.
But you, Jimmy?
For the most part, the world is my prop. If I see something that I can use as a prop to illustrate something or do some action with, use a chair or stand, grab a broom, become the dance partner, or a broom, or whatever you want to chase people down with it. But the world is my improv instrument.
You just cat, you just knock and destroy everything you have.
Like that.
Yeah, it's a special bobtail chair now.
And
scene.
Yep. At least the goat's nice. I appreciate that. Although being a Chicago Cubs fan, I don't know how I feel about goats right now. I'm still getting over my phobia, so it's okay.
Well, there's a Chicago Cubs themed goat fursuit out there.
I saw that, and that was amazing. I almost bought that, for goodness sakes. I thought that was fantastic.
I think we should take up a collection and buy it for you.
I mean, I would totally wear that to a goat. I would come out of retirement for that.
Then your path to becoming a furry is complete.
Yeah, right. That would be the end of me. My other question for you guys specifically is, how has your character evolved? Like, is he the exact same as when you first got him fresh out of the box? I know you were talking about he still kind of bounces off the wall, but have you added any layers as you've gone along, or has it been pretty consistent? That's for whoever wants to take it.
I would say it's been pretty consistent, It's just been that,
No, he's Bob.
Okay.
I mean, did you kill another rabbit, Strobes? He's always on the prowl. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. He really has been pretty much the same, which at this point in time, I just don't see it changing. It may evolve as I get older and don't want to bounce around or have as much energy.
He'll stay classic.
They're right, exactly. Regal.
For the most part, my characters have started one way, and they've kind of more found themselves, their position, their space inside my head, what they mean to me. Yippee and Twilight they're as I envisioned them. Though with Baron, I envisioned him originally as a villain character, as the bad guy. But they didn't quite connect with him. So over time, I thought that what is a villain that a hero for the other side? Is a hero for where he comes from. He carries himself as such. He's a pilot warrior in a cartoon sense. I'm not trying to be anything sort of serious about it. I found that space within where he connected to me.
Hey, Fox, are you the same as you were when you came out of the box?
I'm not far from it, but I have changed a little bit. When I started, I was a silent suitor. I was a silent suitor to start, but it didn't fit me at all. I wasn't good at it. I'm not good at just overly performing and wowing people, like some people. And during my frustration, someone was I was trying to perform for somebody, and they're just like, I don't know what you're saying. Just tell me, please. And I'm
Just talk.
Fine. This is what I meant. And they're just like, oh, actually, you have a fitting voice for this character. You should talk more. And this was way back in the early 2000s. You weren't allowed to talk in Zoom, or else they'd go on Blind Journal and talk bad about it.
If I talked, I got fired. So mascots are the same way.
That's true.
Yes.
So that's just kind of how he started. And I've always wanted to be a silent performer. That's something I've always wanted to do. I've wanted to do more character building, how to convey a scene, how to interact with someone with no words, which is something I don't have experience in at all. I've never had that experience. It's something I want to look forward to in the future, because I want to become a better performer. I'm not that great of a performer. I want to be, and that's why I'm here.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you guys have any opinions on talking versus not talking? Because there's a lot of traditional people who say you never talk when you're in the costume, and yet now it seems like everybody talks. So do you guys have an opinion one way or the other, or have a preferred way of going about about it?
Well, I'm from the old school, the mascot rule of not speaking, and that just sort of happened, which, curiously enough, I got to meet the San Diego chicken who kind of started the whole mascot industry back in '74, and he talks in suit, but then yet it's only him who's the chicken. So with theme parks and mascot suits, that they're often different people in suit doing performing, so they stay silent. That's where it came from. Now, when I first started fursuiting, that's what I did and what I knew, so I kept that going, and that's the rules that we kind of laid down, and the sacred tradition. But over time, people come in with it from different angles. They have different ideas and such, and yeah, I would try to push that agenda, but we're not mascots, we're furries. We do our own thing, we are our own characters, we lay down our own rules, or even lack of rules, and you know, some people will perform, some people just talk in suit naturally, some people have a character voice that rounds out the character that, like this guy, he's got a particular voice to him, if he can do it. Yeah, see, there we go. He's got that fur ball in the throat going, so.
Yeah, that's what it is, sure. Oh, man.
Brilliant.
I do speak in suit, actually. Yeah, I guess since day one, again, you know, I just gotta, I find it easier to convey whatever you're trying to convey, even if it's just conversation with another person. You know, you just say, you know, hey, how's it going, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, I do get where you're coming from, because this guy refuses to talk, but I can still communicate with him because of how animated and how ridiculous and derpy. I mean,
I think to some extent also that at furry conventions you meet people so in such a quick thing, people don't have a lot of patience to try and figure out if someone's trying to communicate something through pantomime. So speaking just became, why should I bother? Just go ahead and talk. And I think that you know, if you're just talking as yourself, it's like you're not performing. You could certainly round out a character with a fun character voice if it suits the character.
Or if you have an awesome voice already.
Yeah.
That is true.
Aura.
How about, I do have a question for you, actually. You say you do professional mascot?
Yes.
Well, so how hard was it to become a character that already had a personality and already was established?
I'll let you start. Well, you can take it from different angles. That when you're performing as a theme park character, say from, I did Six Flags I did the Looney Tunes characters for a couple years, and so there's a body of work to play from. Now I started from pretty much zero with the San Jose Earthquakes. It had a sort of a stormtrooper husky puppy named Richter, the cyber dog. From that, it started from what did the character look like, and what does that kind of mean, and what do people see in that, and how to round that out. And so I'm developing that from just starting from the look of the character and what do people see him as. And you want to say something, or are you just making me uncomfortably close? Love you.
I'm
And well, with fursuiting, that you're not really starting from zero. If you've built your own suit, you can start from the character as it stands within you. If you're commissioning a suit, you're going through possibly an artist's interpretation of your vision, and then a fursuit builder's interpretation of the art of your character. So it's not going to be a complete, exactive idea of what's in your head, but you're drawing from what the suit looks like as it is, and how other people see it through kind of through both either the mirror in front of you or the mirror of people looking at you and how they treat you, and where to start? How you're developing the character.
Yeah.
That's where it's coming from.
So for me, I can specifically talk about this with Scooby, because who in here doesn't know who Scooby Doo is, right? Like, you know how he acts. He's been on TV for 50 years. And literally my job depended on making sure that I stayed true to that character. So they gave us an entire booklet of like what he was all about. Like these are his characteristics. This is what he's known for. This is what he likes to do.
Like,
And
do you ever start walking and everything?
I mean, sadly, I can't get on all fours in the costume, and he's typically that's what he does. He just runs around on all fours. But I
They won't
kind
even let you sit down in those suits.
they won't let you sit down. I couldn't kneel on the ground. I couldn't like do like all.
Damage the suit.
Basically, so when I had to kneel down, it was like this. You had to kneel on your toe, like this.
Yeah,
And that
hold
was
on put your knee on the other.
On the other foot, yeah.
Fluffy foot.
Because they're giant feet. But for me, actually, you probably could pull that off. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I know, I saw him and I was like,
He dares admit it.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
okay.
it helps when you're taller than a centimeter. So, no, I think when you're playing a character that's already been portrayed, there's pros and cons. The pros are you don't have to do a lot of thinking. It's kind of already established what they're all about, so you just have to be true to that. But at the same time, it takes a lot of the creativity out of it, and I think that's why so many people like the furry community, because these are all your characters. You built these guys from scratch, even if they're based on something else. Like I've seen some, Goofy-inspired characters or some characters inspired by anime, and it's just really cool to see you guys come up with characters that have never been seen before. It's hard, and I mean, I think it was kind of easier for me just to have it done for me, but with Scooby in particular, I think the biggest thing for me was just being true to the character. Make him high energy, make him a little bit clueless, always be scared of the monsters, always, and then just have a really, really good time. And does anybody have some cat? I'm gonna... So people have to clean this room up, Oh boy. Well, this is why we want
Where
nice
was I
things.
mentioning about everything's a prop?
Yeah, literally.
These are microphone stands, and they're making them basically anything they want it to be.
Kill me in the ballroom with the camera.
I would have been very happy if you did that.
Not that I can get back.
That's another key thing is for me as a performer of any kind is to never stop moving. So, because out of curiosity, with a show of hands, how many of you guys have costumes like this? Oh, wow. That's a nice chunk of the room. All right. So, I don't know how much you guys move when you're out there. It's tiring. I know a lot of people like to talk about how long they can stay in a costume. Like, I was in a costume for 5 hours in a row. And I was like, well, yeah, maybe if you're sitting down and doing nothing, you can do that and pull it off like this lazy guy right here. But if you're like Strobes and you're up and about and running around, I mean, you're not going to be around for 5 hours. You got to go take a cat nap, right? No? No cat nap? You're just going to... You're blocked. What is that? I don't know what they're doing.
He's driving.
Oh, is he driving?
But driving us crazy.
Yeah, yes, he is. This is what you get when you bite.
Shame.
Shame. But yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why I appreciate your performance so much is you never stopped moving. I saw you interact with a Christmas tree last year for like a minute, and nobody was watching except for like 4 other people, and you just were committed to this bit, and it's wonderful. So maybe if you guys want to talk about how you were able to balance trying to stay healthy and not like overexert yourself, but always moving and trying to figure out something to do when maybe there's nobody interacting with you, like it's a small room.
Well, with experience, you'll know your limits of how much you can expend your energy at a given point. You can't be active all the time. You'll certainly tire yourself out in maybe the first 5 minutes or first 2 minutes for me. But you learn some economy of action that you don't. When you develop your walk, you can have a walk that will have a certain level of animation, but not expend all your energy. If a good way to learn this is doing a fursuit parade and seeing how to practice that walk for an entire mile or whatever the distance is, and however long they are.
Or used to be.
Or used to be, yes. R.I.P. R.I.P. parade. R.I.P. death march.
Why did you bring that goat? This is your fault. Sorry, go ahead, Jimmy. Oh, Fox.
Let's go.
Right, so, performing.
It's actually a fart boat.
Fart boat? Oh, okay. So what about for you, Addie? What do you do to kind of keep yourself safe, I would say, in terms of balancing all, because you're bouncing off the walls all the time.
Right.
So how do you not die?
Well, I'm gonna go by the, it's okay to take breaks, and it's perfectly fine if you are feeling exhausted or you're dehydrated or whatever, because the people are going to still be there. So that's totally fine. Go take your break, go into the headless, go get you some water. If you have a person walking around with you that maybe has stuff, just go ahead and ask for the stuff, because like you said, your health is number one thing. You're not going to be a top performer or a good performer if you're just exhausted, tired, and walking around, kind of just slumped over and trying to gasp for breath. Because as I guess a lot of people are student, that it's just ridiculously hot in the sun. So to go a mile a minute and just exhaust yourself within the first 15 minutes is not worth it. That's basically what I do. I know my limits. You can stretch them a little bit. I guess it's kind of like a training-ish. But definitely don't overexert yourself, because A, it's going to make you not want to suit again, and the point of suiting is to get exposure and get out there and just have fun. And the other thing, like I said, is just make sure you take your breaks. Like just leave if you have to for a little bit, and then take a breather, take your head off, get some fresh air. That's what I do.
What about you, Other Fox?
For me, I always like to be moving, like you said. Like, even if no one's watching, I like to be moving because it helps circulate the air for me. If I just sit completely still, or if I stand just motionless, it takes more energy to not move than to just move a little. Like, you don't want to overexert yourself, but having basically an idle animation is really beneficial. It's just something to keep you moving. If someone watching is like, oh, hey, he's kind of moving, he's doing a thing. But it's healthier for me to keep the air flowing, keep animated, and at the same time, that kind of helps build the character in a way. Because it's like, what would I do if I was just doing nothing? Because you want to know what would your character do if this happens, if this happens? Well, one of the questions, what does he do when nothing is happening? You have to do something. So it kind of works out for me.
I would say you're even chipper when you bounce. That's crazy.
Yeah, the idle animation is a good point of keeping the character alive as it's just sort of staying around. And you never know who's watching. If people are watching, they see the character, then it's alive. It's alive.
It is alive.
Hey, I wasn't the last one.
It's true. You weren't the last one.
Sorry.
Yes.
I find this phone in the bathroom. Somebody.
Did somebody leave a phone in the bathroom?
What kind of phone is it?
It's a Samsung.
Samsung looks like a Galaxy. No?
As long as it's not an error.
Yeah, if it's a Note 7, throw it in the trash.
It's found. Go ahead.
Does it turn on? Is there a back?
Oh. Yeah, I only act in it, I don't watch it. Sorry.
I put in the studio office.
Should we, do you think it would be for here, or do you think it would actually be over there at the main hotel and just doing some con ops or something?
Yeah, I'd say leave it with con ops.
Okay.
There you go.
And if there's a if found on the back.
There is. There's
In the bathroom.
Okay.
Should you invite?
You want
Yeah, we can drop it by con ops out.
Yeah, hang on to
Thank
it.
you very much.
There you go.
I'll set it on the table. Remind me.
Bigger than you are.
Sure.
We can be heroes.
We can be heroes. All right, what were we talking about? Right, energy and being safe. So now here's a question for you guys, because I know it's hotly contested and debated. How do you feel about people who don't use, I guess it's called the headless lounge, and just kind of like, oh, I'm hot pop. Do you have opinions on that? Is that something you would ever do? Or do you feel like that ruins the magic a little bit? What is going on? All right, that is. Boy. Just gonna leave that there. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Personally, I will use the headless lounge if I need to. I won't pop my head in public, anywhere. It's maybe in a panel if I'm speaking and I'm in suit, but otherwise I'm very traditionalist, and I'll stick with the magic. Keep the character head on unless absolutely necessary. But I must also stick with for safety. If I need to, I'll pop the head. I will take best efforts to find a headless lounge or go back to my room. Keep the character integrity. from a rather traditionalist background.
What about you?
Okay, Madonna.
No, I'm completely with you on that point. The term.
What?
Make it your own.
Right. No, I definitely, I'm in the same, sorry, I got a little block last.
No, I'm right there with you. I feel you.
Yes, please. I'm gonna fix this. Yeah, no, I don't ruin the magic, you know, I will stay into, even if unless it's like an emergency, and I don't think this has ever come up because I don't really drink too much while I'm in suit, I don't have to become even more dehydrated than I'm going to be, but you didn't even drink water. What good?
Wow.
That was my left hand. Usually would be that. So yes, no, I don't take off the head. If I had a view on it, and I don't want to be too preachy or anything like that, because I guess, you know, this is everybody's thing, so everyone can do what they want, you know. But I don't like sneaking it, I guess. I mean, even when it comes down to like hands, I guess it's kind of weird, like taking it off and just walking around. I understand if you're getting your key card or something like that, like
Yeah.
but if you're just like walking around with whole suit and then you have your hands exposed, it's kind of, I don't know, odd looking to me. So I don't particularly care for it, but that's just me. So I'm not snooty. I won't, you know, be like, oh my God, where's his head? But, you know, at the same time too, it's for me, I just don't do it. I'll find a corner, I'll find a room, I'll find, you know, if I have to take off, unless, like I said, just dire emergency, I'm going to like throw up in my suit or something like that, then save the suit. Hashtag.
That makes sense. What about you? How do you feel about the head popping and pulling off of when you're out in public?
Pretty much similar to them. I'm not into the idea of popping my head. Like, even though this panel is like, this room is hot and exhausting, and I'm just sitting here, but I don't want to pop my head off. I don't want to ruin the illusion. Because that's a personal thing for me. I don't really care what other people do. I'm like, oh, I kind of wish they leave it on, but health comes first, safety comes first, no matter what. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are doing it for that reason, but it's also none of my business. I prefer things that move.
That makes sense.
No, this is the 9th anniversary of the great MFF 2007 headless debate, and the start of it. Because when people were going around headless just around the convention, and there's some old school folks that say, I wish they wouldn't do that. I'd go so far as to pass judgment on people. Don't do that, but we don't run the fandom. We are a fandom of individuals. We each have our own opinions on this matter, and what's right for me might not be right for some.
There are as many ways to be a fursuiter as there are fursuits in the fandom.
Very good point.
That's a great point.
I talk her.
Nice.
So all I can do
Cheers.
is, you know, promote and talk about the way I prefer suiting, and hope, you know, people will, you know, at least respect what I'm doing. And, you know, it's their own idea, their own suit, what they do with. So we are a end of the community of individuals.
If I pop my head off in public, I would literally scare hundreds of children and ruin their
I'm glad
days.
you kept it on for this panel.
Look, man,
There's nothing under here, but something.
being a human is hard. I don't know if you've tried. It's really hard. But thanks. Appreciate that. Who's it? Oh, it's the eagle. Hi. What's up? I didn't know you made that sound. There it is. That's better. It's a squawk. It's too early for nesting. Anyway, so again, if you guys have any questions or anything you want to throw out there. Hi, Gail. Oh, it is a Gail. Hi, Gail.
Hi, Gail.
Speaking of mascots.
Good morning.
Hi.
I'm not talking at this
We have microphones, they help.
Yeah, you want to come over here with a microphone and we can just let you talk? And you sound great. You sound lovely.
Please, Gail, come talk.
Come on, come talk. Okay.
One very hot second.
Right. But yeah, if you guys have any specific questions you want to throw out there, go for it. Otherwise, I'm going to keep asking them questions because that's what I do. Yes, Mr. Hawk.
Red tip.
So how do you get involved with professional mascot when you already have a full-time job?
I mean, you switch jobs, I'll be honest.
I got a good paying job, I don't want to lose my job.
I wouldn't lose it then.
I like to do some mascot work on the weekends when I'm not working.
I guess that's a good question for you, Jimmy. Is there anything that you can do, like volunteer work that's kind of mascot-y?
Yeah, there's multiple things. If you can do volunteering at, we have, in the Bay Area, we started a group of costume performers back in '98 or so, called Critters by the Bay. We do volunteer work for at community and charity events. That it's not so much really paid work, so it's stuff that we do for fun, and work our way up into doing stuff at the local theme park. There's a small park in the off Lake Merritt in Oakland that's been there since actually 1950, and we do character appearances there for holiday events. In fact, I'll be bringing my reindeer out there in a couple weeks. But there's also opportunities if when I was in LA, I worked at Six Flags. I was doing that on weekends and during the summer on a few nights a week as one of the Looney Tunes. You know, there are things out there that you can do if you're looking for specifically for if you're looking for a paycheck. I would say that unless you're really good, you don't want to do this as your day job. I was trying to do that at some point. I had auditioned for the San Francisco Giants. I ended up with the escort job for a season. But the stipend you get there, you're not getting really enough to live on. I was doing stuff at the San Jose Earthquakes. I did 200 appearances in 2 years, but I was getting intern wages there. Just a little something to help on the side. I had a day job at the time. So, if you got something stable, it's a day job, you don't want to get rid of that. But if there are ways to get your mascot mojo out there and without giving up your day job. I'd say that's finding those are what's important to. And I would say that also if you're doing it as for a paycheck that.
I think he has his own channel now. He does. His tail channel.
If you're doing it for a paycheck, you're doing it for someone else and not quite for yourself. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, I think probably community and volunteering work is the best way if you're really into mascotting to get out there. But yeah, Jimmy's absolutely right. Like I worked typically 3 to 4 times a week, and there's just no way to fit that into a full-time schedule if you've already got a job. And if it pays well, mascotting doesn't pay great. You can live off of it if you're smart, but it doesn't pay great. There's a reason I stuck to voiceover. Yeah, I think that is absolutely true. Is being able to run around like a cartoon animal is a wonderful way to relieve stress. But I would say don't do it full time unless you're going to be like Benny the Bull or Clark the Cub or something like that. Wow. You are a Braves fan. I don't want to hear it. Mr. Won the division 15 times and won 1 World Series. You jerk. Don't play with me. Don't mess with me. Anyway, so I had another question for all of you guys. What do you think about the look of characters? So for example, if you, for example, got your costume, let's say 7 or 8 years ago, it's going to look very different than if you get it tomorrow. Do you feel like it's necessary to constantly be updating, or do you feel like there are costumes that can stand the test of time, they just don't need to be updated?
It all depends on style.
Sorry?
It all depends on style.
True.
This is true.
I mean, how well the suits hold together? It's why I got a new head originally.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, I remember your old head. This is, I really like this one. It's got a really, really cartoon look to it.
Yeah, and I wanted a similar look for Victor too, so now there's not got this new day.
I'm on board with that.
I think so. I have refurbished a couple characters in the past, including like the character Yippee. He got refurbished a year ago. And the look is very, I was almost intimidated to, what am I going to do to try and update, revise a character that I've had since '96. And it occurred to me that people advise me that whatever I create is going to be Yippee. And I want to do not so much a spot-on recreation of the original, but kind of just an updated look with my style. And it captured the essence of it. that, kept it going, and that's what keeps the character going. I'm looking at revitalizing Twilight. He's hitting past 8.5 now, he'll be 9 next year.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, they don't last forever. This is getting threadbare in places. That's my take on it, that if you build your own, you have an idea of where you're going with it. You can update with your own style. I've seen people get new versions of their characters. The look will change. It'll be a new take on it. It can go either way. I'd say that you want something more tied in with the old character, or you want an updated look that reflects the updated style out there.
How about you guys when you're on the floor just walking around? Do you see older costumes and go, hey, they need to be updated, that doesn't really look like it fits anymore? Or do you guys just look for what they're doing in it?
That's really interesting because when I was first starting into the suiting, I was like, oh, these styles look good. This suit looks really good. He's a pretty good performer. And there was one performer that took me by complete surprise, and it was JD Puppy. If anybody knows JD Puppy, he's fantastic. I love him.
Yeah, I need to take him out. He tried to kill me. He literally, for the stream, he made me eat a lot of hot chocolate, and I don't like him. I'm kidding. I love him. He was wonderful. We raised a lot of money for kids, but it was painful.
I met JD Puppy, and back then he had a raggedy suit, like an old dog. It looked like because he was just he was a mutt. He was a mutt, really. But his performance was out of this world back then. He was amazing, and he blew me by surprise. I was like, oh, that suit kind of, whoa. And he was off the wall, jumping on chairs. Fantastic. He danced. He did everything. And I was blown away. And I was like, he is the one that proved, to me, if you can make your character live, it almost doesn't matter what he looks like, new or old. And since then, he's updated his character. But one thing I like is, like you said, when you get a character made, when you get a suit made, you're getting the artist's representation of what you want, and then the suitor's representation of the artist's representation to make your character. So it's a little different.
It's like a game of telephone.
Yeah, it's like a game of telephone. And I almost think it's good in a way because you don't just. Sometimes you do the same character, which works, really well if you're a classic, and you become this new character. Because I think of like old Looney Tunes, of course, old Bugs Bunny. Everyone knows what he's about, and he gets updated to like the Looney Tunes show. He's a different character. He has a new ideal, a new style. Same character, but it's actually building a new world around him. This new character, which opens new pathways. And much like JD Puppy, now he's the dancing dog, but now he's stylish and he's good looking. And
oh wow, really? Now he's good looking.
Now he's pretty good.
Oh, okay. So before he was like, I'll tell him you said that.
But I almost think that's necessary in a way, like updating a character, but also continuing his lifespan, giving him new adventures to go on, a new, taking an old character, giving him a new TV series to play on and continue growing, which is something I'd like to do because I'm overdue for a refurbish, and I'm wondering, what could I do to make him a little different next time, to build onto his character, like where I want to go, and I want it to be different than how I am now, but still retain just like, hey, it's me, hi, but be a different character in a way, if that makes sense.
It does. What about you, Matt? What? Oh yeah. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, that's very good. Good luck.
Well, actually, I don't have a whole lot to add because that's what I was going to say. And I know all you guys know some suits actually can stand a little bit of the test of time. Like, do you guys know who Buddy is? No one's heard of Buddy, right? Yeah. The suit, yeah.
Don't bow. Sit down, cat.
But no, I've actually dreaded that. And since the day I got it, I was like, oh no, what's going to happen when I have to have a new suit or a new head or whatever? It kind of scares me to think about what it's going to look like, what it's going to be. It'll still be Addy, but it'll be different. And like you said, it's kind of like technology. Technology is always going to get better. The suits, the heads are going to keep getting made better. The suits are going to be more durable. Footballs are going to be, better and last longer and stuff. So I think updates are necessary, but to an extent of, when is it necessary? I think it is when it's, not necessarily unwearable, but when it becomes a hazard to wear, or like you're falling apart and having to constantly glue yourself back together, then maybe it's time for an update, or at least kind of a makeover. But it does scare me because I don't know what the new one will look like, and if I get it, I'm like, because I instantly fell in love with my suit when I got it. Like, it's exactly how I draw my character and everything. So to me, to do that, I'm like, the next person has to nail it. And I'm certain they will, but it's just kind of something, like that makes me a little nervous.
Here's an interesting question. How many times, and I mean, Jimmy, you're actually the perfect one to answer this. How many times have you thought about making a character that isn't what you, like, for example, not Atimist, but something completely different to kind of challenge yourself? Have you guys ever thought about doing that? And what made you get 16 different characters for you to portray?
I've got ADD. But no, I get different ideas of characters and what they, different character concepts. For example, when I was talking about Baron, that I had this idea that I wanted a German Shepherd, but how to play that out, what was he about? And then I hit upon that his name would be Baron, and that drew out all these ideas of the Red Baron and the aviation and the kind of war hero character, and it connected with a certain spot inside me that we are creatures worthy of respect and our experience and what we bring to the table. Different characters will connect with different pieces of my core. Twilight was developed out of the idea that I wanted a flirty character to. My first character, Yippee, was all he's very, very cartoony, very family friendly. When I first started with Twilight, I wanted the idea that someone who's a bit more adult, a bit more flirty. And here, congratulations, you won the award for most annoying character. I love that. I'd like to thank the Academy. That's also the worst bottle flip I've ever seen.
No.
Wow.
We could be here all day. That's the cat toy.
They're never going to bring us back.
Yay! You finally got it.
Yay.
Did you catch that on film, folks?
I don't know what in the world. Oh, good. No. He goes a little bit closer on the footrest.
We are the champions.
Thank you.
Okay. That's enough.
Thank you.
I forgot where I was going.
Thank you. I 16.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Nope.
Sometimes there have been
Nope.
times that I've acquired a suit from just a random thing, and it's connected with I saw the look of the character. I have a gray Dalmatian who I put a glasses and a scarf on. Suddenly, it was a hipster. He was a coffee hipster, and I don't think he's hiding.
Coffee hipster.
Yeah. His name is Ash.
Oh, I've heard of
Some
him.
with the classy glasses.
Yeah.
Very, very sensitive style.
Loves coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a little hyper. I don't think he likes me. He likes me in the extreme. Yeah, I don't know. He could call me basic human. I don't know why.
Because you are.
Wow.
Ouch.
And that's my best friend in the crowd right there. What about for you guys? Have you ever thought about, if not changing your current character, having something that is completely different than what you're already doing?
Absolutely. I've wanted to explore different avenues with characteristics, like not just happy hugs everybody. That's great. I already have that. I want to try maybe like an angry character, one who's just like hugs. No, you're not getting that.
Oh, you mean Strobes?
And one of my favorite things to do is try on my friends' suits, and I want to be their character because it's established in their world. It's just like, here's what I do, here's what I'm thinking. I want to see like your twist on it. And it's like, okay, and when you put that suit on, you're not yourself anymore. You are them. You have to be them. One of the hardest things for me to do the first time I ever suited, and one of my friends knew I was suiting. It was like, hey, Aura, and I'm not Aura at the time. I'm someone else, and so you have to ignore that. Just be like, no, I'm not responding. That's not who I am right now. Like, I'm not auto right now, or I'm not aura right now, I'm auto, so I only respond to that. And it's really interesting because it just changes your perspective, because you barely know the character, and now you're being thrust into situations where you have to react differently than you normally would. And I like that, because it makes me wonder, where do I want to go? Did I like this experience? Do I want a character that with the same characteristics? What kind of twist can I put on this to inherit it, really?
That's actually a really good question to close on, because I was curious about this, and I think you guys would have some really good perspective. When you're a mascot, obviously you have a lot of people that play the same character over and over and over again. They all kind of do it in a different way. But I guess the concept of suit swapping, where you basically give somebody else your character, is it, one, weird to see somebody else running around as you? And number two, do you feel comfortable ever putting somebody else's, basically their person on you? Because that's their character that you are now portraying. So is it weird for you to watch yourself out there? Is it weird to do it yourself?
Nobody, since I recently got mine, I wanted to go like an entire year, which has now been done. So nobody's been Addy, I will say that. But in the future it may happen. So I have done suit swapping with other ones, and it's actually a lot of fun.
Yes.
Because like you said, it's interesting and challenging to play a different personality. So I jumped into Huskin, or Exile once, and he's just I don't give up. I'm gonna just hug and crush and destroy you, kind of, jock kind of character. And Eddie's not like that at all. So to change that, to become that was, and two is when you suit swap, right, you're watching yourself. So after I got done, I asked, how did I do? And I think that the feedback that they give you is like, you did this well, you did this well, and I really like how you did this. I never would have thought of that. So you get that too, because you really don't know. So you just kind of take it how it is, and then they either, can tell you did well in this, or, maybe this is exactly what you would have done, or I would have done it this way, or vice versa. Be like, wow, I never would have thought of that. That's cool. I'm totally using that. So.
I've only done one swap, and that was with JD Bucket. He really wanted to wear my character. And I was like, wow, let's do a swap. This was at FWA, like 2013, 14, so it was a while ago. And we have really different characters. I speak, he doesn't, he just performs. And when we did the suit swap, because he wanted to do a voiced character. And he's like, I could do a good aura voice. And I'm like, oh, can you? He's like, yeah, I can. And it was better than mine. I'm like, oh crap, he's gonna be a better me than me. And he did, and that was the worst part. But it did shed a lot of light on, like, oh, I could do this, and I could say these things at this moment. I could work with that, like he said. It's like I learned things that I didn't even know I could do. And at the same time, his character has just burst energy, which I clearly have that. Clearly have that. But that character does actually have the energy, so I did have to put 110, 120% into my movements, which I'm not accustomed to. Contrary to belief. So it was really a good experience for both of us. He got to do a talking character. I got to do a silent character for a day. It was a lot of fun, and we both learned a lot about where we want to take performance. And it was a lot of fun. But fun was the most important part.
It's true.
Fun, number one rule. Hi, I'm Yippee, and I've worn over 250 other person's costumes.
Are you serious right now?
Then again, I've started over 20 years ago.
That is fair. Oh my gosh. All right, so first of all, how do you keep all those straight? And second of all, how does it feel to watch somebody else run around and say?
Well, first off, I have a Google spreadsheet where I keep track of everybody I've worn.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's a blessing and a curse. You get the idea. It's first maybe uncomfortable seeing someone else wearing one of your suits, especially if it's a suit that's very close to you, a very personal character, and it's a level of trust putting someone else in that. But it can be also inspirational to see another person's take on what you do, what the character means to them, how they interpret it, how they see it, and seeing yourself through other eyes that does help you as a performer. And I'm a little scared sometimes. If I borrow someone's suit and I'm worried that am I going to upstage them, be a better them than them? But it's as Laura said, you get the idea that inspiring to try different things, and see things that work that I come up with off the cuff that they hadn't thought about, and hopefully that that will make them a better performer, and certainly it's a fun exercise. Now there are multiple ways of doing this. That sometimes you can suit swap just to confuse people, or take someone's multiple characters out at the same time so that no one knows which one's the real one. But sometimes that may have feel a little mean spirited sometimes, but it's all in a sense of fun, I think.
Strobes. Bad dog, sit. I asked again, does anybody have any catnip? Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Yep, it's on. Yep, I know how these work. Yep, pretty sure. That's my fault. No, that's.
You're gonna get some weird.
Well, I'm gonna
You're gonna get some weird pictures.
Yeah.
If you can figure it out.
Right.
Is that? That's not how that works. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming to the panel. Boy, I really hope he doesn't just.
Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah. Any last questions before? Yes. You two guys. That is a great question, actually. Jim, if you want to take that, I'll get my phone. You're very much larger than children, so oftentimes you'll want to get down on one knee, or get down to their level, so you're not so intimidating to them. One neat thing, and as they said, some people will put the knee on the other foot because they are working at a theme park and can't get the costume dirty or damage it. But you want to be you're much less intimidating if you're down at their level.
Yes.
You want to address that, or?
Yes.
Not to intimidate children.
For me, because I had to work with a lot of kids, it was all about being small. So even if you're a really hyper character, when you get down, be really small, kind of wave to them, because you want to get on their level and you want to make them feel comfortable. So for me, it was all about being small, less energy, and making them feel comfortable.
Another thing, kids have a safety bubble. And as long as you're not getting into their safety bubble, that you're okay. If you approach them too quickly, they'll get intimidating, and scream or whatnot. And there's a spot on there.
Cats.
But with small motions and encouragement and getting the kid to wave back to you so that they don't have to get into your space, their bubble will shrink and you can get closer. And earn that level of trust that they, put a paw out and they'll come to you. You'll want them to make the moves toward you. You don't want to high five them, hold your paw out to have them high five you. So you don't want to break their arm.
Yep.
Distance is your friend.
Yeah. And also don't push it. If the kid is actually not having it or very scared, it's
Strobes, thank you.
Goodbye. It's one thing to just kind of stay there, see if he's actually going to warm up to it. But if he doesn't want to, or he's cowering or hiding behind mom or whatever, then at that point you just have to kind of just let that one go. Don't keep at it because it's just going to end the situation.
Yes.
Peekaboo really helps.
Do what?
Oh yeah, Peekaboo's great. Yeah.
They really like that. Makes them less nervous.
There was another question from the gentleman in the hat. Did you want to ask something?
What if your suit is objectively bad?
Objectively bad? You're going to have to be more specific.
What if your suit is of extremely poor quality?
So you're looking for an update, or you're saying what can you do to make it stand out even though it's not the best quality objectively? Yes. Okay. So what are some ideas that he could do to maybe make himself stand out if he doesn't have the best looking suit in his opinion? I would say for one, if you're into clothing at all, accessorize, add some stuff to it that makes him stand out beyond just what the costume is. So maybe that's a jacket, maybe that's a sports shirt.
Great big foam cowboy hat.
Yeah, that too. Whatever fits whatever your character has been built up to be. I would say maybe accessorize. If you have a giant mallet, that might work. You never know. Or maybe you'll forget it and not bring it to the panel.
I'm sorry.
You should be.
It was really small. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find my 6-foot mallet.
You could have had him look.
Atimist, come over and help me find it. Look under my couch.
Any ideas that you might have, like what you can do to accessorize your character to make them stand out?
No, not, I mean, off the top of my head, no, not beyond like clothing and stuff, where you could, I mean, if it's a character thing, you know, like if you're trying to improve your character, maybe mannerisms and stuff like that, to make him or her stand out more. But if it's an actual like physical thing that we're looking at, then yes, I would, you know, try and just go, I mean, Christmas, right? It's Connor's Christmas. Throw on an ugly sweater, or throw on, you know, just kind of do goofy things like that. But yeah, as far as accessorizing with you know, clothes or props, even, you know, you could hammer again, you know. So yeah, everything's
So is it you say objectively bad? Is it scary? Is it intended scary, or just like I don't want to have anything to do with you?
Or is it like 7 years old and you feel like it's better used as a rug?
Hastily thrown together.
Hastily thrown together.
I don't know. When I first built Yippee, I wasn't sure. There was kind of a certain standard to suits, and I kind of feel like I may have been cutting corners here or there. That if I stood still too long, people would like notice where I've missed seams or something. So I kind of fed that back into my performance and stayed active, so you can't people can't get close enough to you to notice the intricacies to it, little mistakes in here and there. I don't know that you know, you really sell a character if it's through the performance as well. You know, as they mentioned about JD, just running around with a lot of energy and such. Yeah,
and he's got the tuxedo look too, right? He's always in some kind of like dress up.
Yeah, it's his current version.
Yeah, so that kind of makes.
The previous one, that just like his carpet.
Yeah, he's just a carpet.
But I mean, that's a great example.
Short, but there's
Yeah.
one bodysuit that's like, it was big enough to fit 6 foot me. So we did a suit swap once. It's like JD and Yippee.
But yeah, like so JD's a great example. Like he stands out because of his look, because of the clothing that he wears. So that's a great one to look at if he was a carpet before. So any other quick questions before we wrap everything up? Yes, sir.
Is it worth it to put some sort of cooling system in your suit?
I mean, sure. However, good luck. They're not that easy. I mean, if it was that easy, they would do it constantly. So at Universal, we had the fans in the head. They didn't do anything. They just pushed hot air around. So fans.
Some people will use cooling vests, and I mean, if you're intending to spend a lot of time in your suit out and about, there's a phase change vest that it's got these polymer inserts that freeze at like, I think at like 60 or 65 degrees, so that you know, if you had water ice inserts, those would give you frostbite. But these will they'll stay at a constant 60-some degrees while they melt. Any green charge and putting them in a bucket of ice water. But they will keep you cool for a while. The thing is that they add some bulk to the character, to the suit. It's kind of heavy. And I haven't really looked into that. I tried them once, and you know, it seemed like a good idea at the time, but I don't know that one more thing that you have to lug around to conventions and could potentially fail. If you're once that thing, once the phase change stuff melts, it's just added weight. It's then going to be heavy, useless.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I think it's just one more thing that could possibly break, you know, like you said, the fan. Like, you know, great while you're going to it, like, you know why it's working and stuff, but if it goes out, now you're like, oh no, I'm not getting that circulation anymore, and you may be used to it, right?
Yeah, if you're relying on that.
Yeah, so, I mean, I know I'm not saying it's not a good idea to have, by all means, you know, that's why people put this stuff in there to make it a little bit more, you know, easier to suit, or, you know, you can go longer with, like you said, the cooling vest and stuff, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's just, you know, it could possibly not work, or something could go wrong, you know, and then, you know, now you have this another thing to repair, or, you know, keep track of, or whatever, so, I don't use any, but, you know,
I know at Disney they have it built into the costume. I think they have like spots where you can put like little cooling bags. But I mean, that probably costs a ton to like custom modify stuff. So I think the best thing to do is just to kind of know your limits as far as like, if you, the only reason I could see you doing it is if you can't perform without it. Like if you just don't have the heat tolerance, that might be a good time to do it. But other than that, I think you eventually just get used to being in here and you can't avoid it. You're going to be hot. Isn't that right? You must be dying in there. Also, that's one thing I always bothered me. I don't know if it bothered you when you were a mascot, but when they would come up to you and be like, wow, it's really hot. You must be hot in that costume. And I'd be like, no, Scooby's fine. It's not a costume, you stupid. Go next. Always drove me crazy.
One of the characters, someone would come up and say, are you hot? I would always like,
Yeah.
I'm cold. Yeah, pantomime cold, yes. It's like, well, duh.
Did you have questions, sir? No. You're stretching?
Right.
There we go. That was actually a really good one.
And another thing with another thing with the cooling vests. I know I've been an Easter Bunny for like the past 4 years, in addition to fursuiting. And I don't wear a vest when I'm in money, probably because there's really no room for him, because he was a pre-made, I didn't commission him. But I'd wear a cooling vest with the Easter Bunny because just how the costume was made, it was kind of ridiculous. But one of the things that, like, arguments against a cooling vest is that it lowers your core temperature and you're more likely to get sick. It depends on.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of cooling system it is. I know mine was just like basically ice packs that you throw in a freezer, for 4+ hours. And if you're lucky, they're frozen the entire time, the whole way during your shift. But that's a different story.
Were they ice or?
They were. I'm pretty sure they were ice-ish. They were like solid white when they were frozen.
Oh, okay. That's the polymers.
The polymers,
phase
yeah,
change.
yeah. And if the person in the shift before you remembered to put them in the freezer, they'd be cold and last you maybe an hour and a half. And if your shift is 3 hours, you're gonna have to get used to being a little warm. But that's just another thing to think about too. Like if that's something that concerns you, like if you feel like you're more likely to get sick, then the cooling vest might actually hurt more than it would help. So.
I've got one. I find it doesn't make me able to go longer in the suit, but it makes that time a bit more comfortable.
Right.
The thing I've discovered at this convention is I lose track of time really easily, and I'm used to going an hour and a half. Going beyond the 2 hour mark, it stops being a nice cooling vest and it starts being a easy corset. And that gets, it becomes a real difference at that point. Because you've lost all of this, because it's basically plastic, you've lost all of the circulation from the back part of your underarm. So I'm probably going to try it without it.
The best part about this con is you've got a walk-in freezer right outside.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
I love my city.
It is actually snowing.
Yeah.
Was it really?
I'm from the south. I'm from the south, so snowing is anything that falls from the sky.
It is not rain.
Right, exactly, yes. So this might not be snow to you guys, but I'm like,
It's magical.
It's the holidays. And then you have to drive in it.
Exactly. Then you're like, oh, right, that's right. Any other last minute questions before we wrap everything up? Good. Yes.
Okay, so I promised Aura that I would tell my story, so I want to know what kind of, those of you who have done mascot work, what kind of stories, horror, wonderful, what kind of stories do you have that you'd like to share with us?
I can go first if you need a minute.
Well, let me tell you about Richard, the cyber dog. It was a design flaw that he's got this visor over the front of his, and the eyes are mesh, so they breathe, but there's a visor of clear plastic in front of those, which will fog up at the most inopportune times. And once that, if I'm out somewhere without an escort, like I've walked out in the middle of the field as they started the fireworks show, and my visors fogged up, I don't know where I am. So there are times that I've just gotten lost, couldn't even see. One that comes to mind. You know,
Yeah, I have a couple. Well, Scooby was fun because you couldn't, it's weird because I've tried on some of these heads before. You guys get to see out of your eyes. You don't get to do that in Scooby. You see out of the nose. So imagine seeing out of this, I'm going to use an example. You don't get to see out of the nose because it's solid black, so you have to look out of the side of the muzzle. And it's also painted brown to match the rest of the fur color, so you can't really get the best vision out of it. So that's always fun. So you're also looking out of the mouth just to be like, oh, I see your shoes. Cool, there's a person here. But when you're in that, you don't always get peripheral vision. So I had this dude come up behind me and headlock me and almost rip the head off the costume because he was just like, "Hey, Scooby, how's it going? Hey, I'm your biggest fan." Yeah. And then I was like, "Please, PA, somebody get this guy off me like right now." I've had kids yank the tail, which I always hated because it just yanks you back and you're not ready for it, especially if you're off balance, like kneeling down. Somebody just comes up behind you and pulls. I had one dude smack me in the muzzle because I think he had one too many drinks. So there's a lot of really fun stories that you get when you're there. But riding around on the mystery machine was really cool. I don't know if you guys ever got to ride around in like a vehicle as your characters, but like it is so much fun to be out of the roof of this car, just like jamming. So yeah,
I feel like a rock star.
you really do, and I would be there playing the air guitar too, so it'd be great.
So like, well, now I got two stories I want to tell. So, this past year when I was working the Easter Bunny, I had a little boy come up, and I'd always, whenever a kid would like kind of like touch my nose, I would kind of try to do the wiggle. It's hard to do with the big mascot style head as opposed to a fursuit head, but I still made it work. So, kids doing that, for a couple minutes while the parents are, I don't know, trying to haggle prices. And at one point, and I know this was done accidentally, the kid was it was escalated from finger to fist, and kind of went smack. Now, it didn't hurt me physically so much, but obviously I conveyed that Bunny's hurt. So I grabbed my nose, put my head down, and doesn't move. Kids stopped doing it after that.
Nice.
It's like, oh no, I'm here the Easter Bunny.
No
But here's
me.
the second story.
Yeah.
This is my first year doing the Easter Bunny set. It's a Tuesday night, which is the best time if you're not sure if your kid's gonna like the Easter Bunny because it's dead, super dead, at least at my mall. And it's about a few minutes before the end of the night. Normally there are two people on the set. You got one person running, crowd control, handle, fursuit, bunny handler, so on. You got one person taking pictures and selling. Well, our handler left early because it was dead and we figured we were not going to get anybody else. Here comes one dad, 4 kids. And, all the kids come in, they're various ages. I think the oldest is probably like 12. So they come in. Kids immediately start kicking my shins. All 4 of them. Now, and unfortunately, my awesome manager, Kristen, could not help me because Dad was literally haggling the price of the pictures, which are set and you can't do anything about changing them. This went on for probably about, the kids were kicking me for about 5 minutes. I usually sit on a bench. So I had to literally stand up and move to a different part of the set because I had no help whatsoever. It was one of the scariest things I think I've done.
I think you were set up. I think those kids planned that and they had the dead road interference.
Yeah, and the worst part is they actually did eventually take a picture and buy a picture, but they made us late for closing, closed 5 minutes after we were supposed to be done. I was like,
great, I'm glad I'm going to stay up, but my shins will never be the same.
There was only one time. The funny part is a year or 2 after that, there were a couple kids that came and when they started laughing, kind of the creepy kid laugh, and I just had war flashbacks. So oh no, not the shins, save the shins. But yes, it was terrible.
Any other last minute questions? We've got 5 minutes left, but we could totally call it early if you guys are good. Yeah? All right, well, thank everybody for coming. We really appreciate it. You got some good information. Thank you, man. For coming out. And now you can go roll back under your bed.
Yeah, thanks for joining us here.
Strobes did it earlier and looked very comfortable. He did.
Oh, right.